You know, deep inside your car's engine, there's this tiny but absolutely crucial part working its tail off to keep everything running just right. It's a really sophisticated piece of tech that most people have never even heard of, but it plays a huge role in your car's performance, its efficiency, the whole shebang. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the air/fuel sensor.
Okay, we've all been there, right? That little orange light, the dreaded check engine light, it just pops on and your stomach drops. You start wondering, is this serious? Is this going to be expensive? It's your car's way of trying to talk to you, but the message can be, well, frustratingly unclear. But what if I told you that a lot of the time, that conversation is about one specific and actually pretty brilliant little part?
And this is it. This little guy right here. Say hello to the air/fuel sensor, or AF sensor for short. Now, I know what you're thinking. It kind of looks like a spark plug, right? But trust me, this is the unsung hero of our story today, and it's a super common reason that check engine light comes on, especially in cars that were early to adopt this tech, like Toyotas.
So right about now, you're probably thinking, wait a minute, isn't that just a fancy name for an O2 sensor? And that is a fantastic question. They're definitely related, for sure. But think of the AF sensor as the O2 sensor's way smarter, more sophisticated younger cousin. Let's dig into why.
Okay, so here's the best way to think about it. A regular old O2 sensor, it's like a basic light switch. It's either on or it's off. It can only tell the car's computer two things. The fuel mix is either rich, that means too much fuel, or lean, too little fuel. That's it. But the AF sensor, oh, it's way cooler. It's like a dimmer switch. It gives the computer a super precise, constantly changing signal.
And this quote from Motor Magazine really hits the nail on the head. It doesn't report merely rich or lean. Rather, it reports how rich or how lean. That little word, how, that's everything. That level of detail is an absolute game changer for managing your engine.
So here's the deal. The AF sensor is positioned upstream, which just means it's right there in the exhaust pipe before the gas gets to your catalytic converter. Its whole job, its entire reason for being, is to send incredibly precise data back to the engine's main computer, which we call the PCM. You can think of the PCM as the engine's brain, and this sensor, it's like its most trusted #1 advisor, letting it make these tiny, constant tweaks to the fuel mix.
Okay, so why should you care about all this techie stuff? Well, here's the payoff for you. All that precision means much tighter control over emissions, which is great for the planet, of course. But for your wallet and just your daily drive, it means you get better fuel economy, your engine performs better, and, this is a big one, it can even help your super expensive catalytic converter last longer. It is literally a win-win-win.
But, you know, every hero has its kryptonite. And our AF sensor is no different. It has to live and work in an insanely harsh environment. So, yeah, things can, and they definitely do, go wrong. So let's dive into what happens when these good sensors go bad.
Whoa, just look at that number, 1,200 degrees Fahrenheit. Let that sink in for a second. That's the temperature an AF sensor needs to hit to even work correctly. That is crazy hot, almost double what a normal O2 sensor needs. And understanding this extreme heat is the absolute key to figuring out why they fail so often.
See, to get that hot that fast, the sensor has this powerful little heater built right inside it. And guess what? That heater circuit is by far the #1 thing that breaks. It's the most common failure, especially if you live somewhere cold. When that heater gives up, the computer will throw some very specific fault codes, usually something like a P1135 or a P1155. It's simple. Without the heater, the sensor just can't get up to that 1,200-degree sweet spot and do its job.
Now, of course, that's not the only way an AF sensor can die. Other things can definitely take it out. You can get contamination from stuff like antifreeze or burning oil, which basically poisons the sensor. Physical damage from hitting a pothole can crack it, or even a tiny exhaust leak can throw off its readings. But honestly, that heater circuit, that's still the main villain in this story. All right, so the light is on. You're thinking it might be the AF sensor. So how do you prove it? How do you crack the case? Well, the good news is, the path to diagnosing it is actually surprisingly straightforward.
It really just boils down to a simple 3-step process. Step 1, read the fault code. That's your first clue. Step 2, test the sensor's heater. You go right after the usual suspect. And step 3, you can analyze the live data stream from the sensor. That's kind of like bringing it in for questioning.
Let's zoom in on step 2 for a second, because this is often where you get your aha moment. Using a basic multimeter, a mechanic can check the electrical resistance of that little heater. At room temp, they're looking for a very specific reading, right in that sweet spot between 11 and 16 ohms. Think of it like taking its pulse.
If it's in that range, it's looking healthy.
And this is the smoking gun. If that multimeter shows OL, which stands for open loop, or just infinite resistance, that's it. It means the circuit inside that heater is toast. It's broken. It's just like a burnt-out light bulb filament. Case closed. Time for a new sensor.
Okay, so we've got our culprit. The sensor's bad. The fix is easy, right? Just swap in a new one? Well, yes, but hold on. There is a huge and surprisingly common mistake you absolutely have to avoid if you want to get this right. And here it is, the big one. You can physically screw a regular O2 sensor into the spot where an AF sensor is supposed to go. They look similar, the connectors are almost identical, but it is the wrong part. They work in completely different ways, and the car's brain, the PCM, it's going to get totally confused. I promise you, your car will not run right if you mix these two up.
So how do you make sure you get the right one? Well, this table breaks it down perfectly. The easiest giveaway is the part number. On a Toyota, the AF sensors start with 89467. The O2 sensors start with 89465. Simple as that. You can also get really nerdy and look at the plastic connector latch. It's just slightly offset on the AF sensor. And always remember the golden rule. AF is upstream, before the cat. O2 is downstream, after the cat.
And last but not least, a couple of pro tips for when you actually install the new one. Remember that crazy 1200-degree temperature? Yeah, because of that, you have to use a special high-temp nickel-based anti-seize on the threads. Then torque it down to the right spec, usually around 30 foot-pounds. And finally, make sure that wire is routed safely away from anything super hot and clip it down so it's secure.
So there you have it, the air/fuel sensor. It really is a precision hero, quietly working away in the background, making thousands of tiny calculations a minute just to make your engine run perfectly. It's a great reminder that some of the smallest, most overlooked parts can have the biggest impact. Kind of makes you wonder, right? What other amazing, unsung heroes are hidden away in your engine, keeping things healthy and efficient every single day?